Okay. Good evening, I think. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. For some reason, YouTube always lags behind for more than I would expect. Anyway, so good evening and welcome to another, actually, welcome to our very first per Aspera stream, where we are playing the Mars settling simulator that has a rather interesting take on the nature of AI and what it means to be well, maybe we shouldn't say what it means to be human, but rather it's an interesting study of the human condition. Now, we're not actually going to play on the story mode because it's it's upsetting in some ways, simply because the story mode and what we think AI is capable of in sci-fi is different from what AI is actually capable of in real life. And so let us instead talk about what AI is capable of in real life. And in real life, AI is capable of doing all of these things, where you see the maintenance. Oh yeah, I should say, I did talk about it being a Mars colonization simulator, didn't I? Yes, I did. So yeah, Mars colonization simulator. Water, food. Okay, everything else is going up. Everything else, we're good. All right. So yeah, it's a colonization simulator, and that means that it is a how should we say? It does that work? Yeah, that works. It basically, you start off as a AI that sets up the first Martian base, and apparently every country on Earth has already tried colonization, and now it's just another turn. And as a whole, we just colonize Mars and try to make it livable for humans. So this includes a whole bunch of terraforming, and also some rather interesting let's do it like that, and some rather interesting combat. This story is actually kind of fascinating as a science fiction story, but that's sort of the point I'm getting at, which is that all of our science fiction stories are wonderful in that. Why did you take over that road? Oh, it's because it's faster. Got it. All of our science fiction stories tend to be more wishful and more mystical about what AI is as compared to what it could be. And where's my electronics, glass, polymer factory, steel factory? Do I not have a worker factory? Amount 0. My bad. Yeah, so sci-fi, of course, there's no reason why sci-fi cannot be mystical. After all, it is one of the greats in sci-fi that said, ooh, come on, oh no. Okay, hold on. One of the greats in sci-fi that said that sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I love that. I genuinely, I love that. But that doesn't, like, that's sufficiently advanced sci-fi, right? And at some point, yeah, I don't want to like shit all over sci-fi, since I am, as you all well know, I am a science fiction writer. Yes, I am. You've read my stories. There's no way you can deny that, and you yourself have said it was good. So ha. But yeah, so it's interesting to me that these types of shall we say that these 1 second, we're going to actually do the chemicals one first. Chemical plant. That modern sci-fi, it's all too mystical because it's focused so much on the mysticism, on the far future. Whereas I like my sci-fi to be broadly based in what we understand um, science to be. And obviously, that's personal preference, and that's how I write my sci-fi actually. Um, but that doesn't preclude these things from happening. But on the topic of AI, because AI is so, yeah, like we've turned AI into this like crazy Deus ex machina that can destroy and create and all of that, and that's wonderful for a fantasy story. At least to me, those sufficiently advanced science fiction become fantasy stories because they're so rooted in for the lack of a better term, fantasy. You know very well I can speak, okay? Don't stop making fun of me. No. The idea really is that AI, as we understand it today in the technological world, AI doesn't really do all of the things that we dream of it doing. In particular, it doesn't it can't become conscious because we don't know what conscious is. What AI can do and where AI is particularly dangerous, and where it is particularly dangerous is actually in the idea that the person that makes the AI doesn't truly understand what's going on, right? Like, and here we're getting into some sort of interesting sci-fi where the robots or artificial intelligence that was created by man turns on man, and this is a fairly well written, shall we say, rehearsed trope, because it happens a lot in sci-fi, and for good reason, right? Because it's sort of a not just a play on hubris, but it's also like the next generation sort of overpowering the previous, and that's always interesting. Regardless, the point remains that at our current technological level, AI has no possible capability of becoming alive, so to speak. Even with the best of our quantum computers that can be developed within the next 15 to 20 years, we cannot possibly have AI that works on the same level as humans, that can evolve their thinking like humans do. And that's just because, one, we don't have the processing power. Absolutely not. And two, because we don't understand consciousness enough to describe it. Like, you hear people talk about, oh, let's give AI fear. What happens when we give AI fear, and what will happen? Actually, 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me just write something down that I want to do. Just because we give something fear and it fears being destroyed doesn't give it the amount of agency that we as humans have, and so it's never really it's never really ready for that next step where indeed we then start to, come on, what am I doing? No. Where we indeed then start to, oh, come on, let me finish this. Stop laughing at me. I can't do two things at once anymore. Stop laughing at me. So yeah, AI is not at the stage where just teaching it fear means suddenly you giving it consciousness, or it wants to protect itself and not procreate, but create, but it needs to have theory of mind to be able to understand what it is, and then it needs to have fear to be able to protect that theory of mind. Now, theory of mind is something that's completely different that we'll I'm sure we'll talk about it in the future. You're right, I might not talk about it with you, but I'll talk about it with someone else. No, the underlying point is we cannot make AI even accidentally, like truly conscious human level AI consciously, actively or even passively, because we don't have the we simply do not have. Am I doing research? No, I don't think so. Anyway, no, that's besides the point. We need aluminium. You know what? Maybe next time I'll not stream and we'll talk about this. But no, the point is, we don't have the necessary ability to create truly conscious, like human level AI, because we don't even understand what that is. So it would take, at least in my mind, a revolution not just in I don't have a worker up there. It would take more than just a revolution in technology, but it would also require a revolution in philosophy for us to properly create AI. Now, the problem, of course, with philosophy is yeah, there is obviously a problem with philosophy, right? Because there are only so many philosophy as a discipline. I do have quite a few friends that are in that shall we say sector. I do have quite a few friends in that sector. Philosophy as a sector is sort of stuck, and I don't know why. I wish I could understand why, because it's an extremely interesting sector, but for whatever reason it is not. What does that mean? For whatever reason, it is not being pushed in a way that can help us develop human thought further, right? And that's weird to me. That's genuinely weird to me, because why are we missing things? What are you missing? What are you missing? You're missing that. Are we? Hello? Excuse me? Oh, it's just you're out of repair range, but that's okay, because but why is this not being? Is it just because we don't have enough power? Well, let's change that. Where were we? Yes, Philosophellas. Philosophellas. One of my buddies gave me that particularly interesting way of putting it. But yeah, like philosophy, I think partially the problem is actually that we have already done all of the easy problems in human philosophy, right? And that's simultaneously tragic and a great triumph, because, well, I mean, we still read all of the ancient Greeks, because apparently that's all we care about. But it is still a triumph, because I think that is what, at least partially, that is what philosophy is about. It's about understanding the human condition, and we all have our personal philosophies, and we all have we know sort of for ourselves what we think the human condition is, and that's great. That's amazing. But so then the problem becomes, what can we do about that? Because suddenly even though we understand the human, or we understand our own version of the human condition, we don't really understand the aggregate. All right, and yes, I know I'm being pretentious. I am being pretentious, but there's a good reason I'm being pretentious, right? It is that as humans, we are pretentious in some way. Well, I mean, we want to be pretentious in some way because it means a whole bunch of things for us to be pretentious. Yes. Oh yes, to answer your question, yes, I did set this to sort of a easy difficulty, and by that we mean that there are tons of resources lying all over. So for example, this carbon mine has 3,000 carbon, iron mine has 3,000 iron, and so that just means that we can sort of set it to max speed and just kind of relax as we're doing it. What was I talking about? Pretentiousness. Yes, I am. Yes, I am pretentious, but so are all of you. So we're even. Oh, how long has it been? 16 minutes. We've already been 16 minutes. Well, let's talk about the game actually. So it's actually kind of, I genuinely like it because it's, as you can see, I'm just kind of floating up on top, relaxed. But if I want to actually look at something that's going on, you can do that. And I do like the 16 times. I'm a sucker for 16 times. No, I'm not a sucker. I enjoy games that have 16 times speed because at once it tells us that it's a speed that can both, or no, it's a game that is both can be taken very slowly or it can be taken very quickly, right? And so if I turn it back to 1 time, you can see suddenly, I have loads of time. I can even pause. Can I build while paused? Yeah, I can. Well, there you go. So I can pause. Incidentally, I love that this is 1 to 5 because and you're free, absolutely absolutely free to call me a nerd. But so it's 1 to 5 because 2 to the 0 is 1, 2 to the 1 is 2, 2 to the 2 is 4, 2 to the 3 is 8, 2 to the 4 is 16. And so it being 1 to 5, you just do a -1 and suddenly you have powers of 2 going on, and that's lovely. And yes, I am a huge nerd, but that's only because I have education. Education does wonders, my friend. Don't be jealous. Oh, right, the game. The game, yeah. So the idea is once we start building up this colony, we can start inviting. Oh, special site, abandoned facility. Where is it? There. Oh, okay. And so we do that by building a research outpost. There we go. Yeah, so we start with lots of drone work, and then we, as you can see, I already have spaceport, and we use this spaceport to add a structure limit. How do I increase my structure limit? Spaceport. And yeah, we use humans. Oh, oops a daisy. We use humans to create research, which we can then use to, for the lack of a better word, research. Let us see how we invite humans. I used to do this, I promise. Landing site. Yes, no. Landing site. Spaceport, right? Yeah. Oh, it's because I clicked on that. Colonist migration. we add okay, and then we add this. Oh no, okay, so it's gonna come in that amount of time. We're good. Oh, our sector is here. Oh, and then we need to unlock these sectors. I remember that. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so oops, I hit my building limit, structure limit. Maintenance facility. How do I increase my building limit? I'll figure it out later. It's not important. Building limit. Ooh, that's a lot of entries. Operational directive. Maintenance, special projects. Resource sectors and expansions. No. Boom. You're not the first. Nah. A variety of base expansion. Structures. And will boost morale of the scientists and the base, colonies, water and food. But that's building. What about building limit? Core. Worker factory, no. Share the ground, maintenance sector, spaceport, worker hub. That's weird. That's weird, right? Colonists, maintenance. No, we'll look this up in the future. It's time to end anyway. So thank you very much for watching. I might have pontificated a little bit too much on the nature of AI. No, that does not mean I'm a pope. Thank you very much. Please. No, pontificate. You know what? No, we're good. We're good. In conclusion, please don't use Chrome. Please download Firefox. We're all good. Thank you very much for watching. And we might, if you guys are interested, if I am personally interested, we might do this again in the future. Oh yeah, let's not do that. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Download Firefox.